Shane, can you hear us?
Breaker 19, can you hear me?
Okay, hang on. Let me just get your volume turned up.
Thank you for setting it up, buddy.
Shane, can you try again?
That network dropped off, Brendan. You got me back?
Yep, we got you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting 1 of the Swatara Township Board of Commissioners. It is 7:04 p.m. on July 1st. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. You may be seated. Secretary Savage, could you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Douglas,
Here.
Commissioner Rye, Commissioner Connolly,
Here.
Vice President Steele.
He's participating virtually.
President Ellis.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. This board did not have an executive session prior to the meeting. We're up to item 6, Dauphin County LSA Support Letter Request Presentations. Do we have Tri-Community Youth Sports? Here on their behalf. All right, we'll move on. Friends of Midland.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I know you told me I had 5 minutes, but my God, you know, not enough for me. Anyway, my name is Barbara Barksdale. For those of you who don't know me, I have a big enough mouth, man. I'm good.
You're fine.
Anyway, I take care of the historic Midland Cemetery that's in Swatara Township. And the purpose of me asking for your support, as always, is to make sure that we continue with the restoration and preservation of the historic Midland Cemetery, which is now on the National Register of the Historic Places. We're also hoping for next year to be part of the Civil War Trail. They've already contacted me. We're making up the roadside stand, so hopefully they'll be installed between the end of this year and the beginning of next year. And you'll be seeing that. So that's part of our preservation efforts, along with the fact that due to the weather, we're kind of behind a little bit with getting started. And I only have like 3 of these here. Can I, like, sure. In your package?
Yep.
So what we're doing is
There's only 3
we had several trees cut down. They're really large. They're over 150 years of age. And they're, we still have a large stump that's there. So what we're doing is having a chainsaw carver to create something that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So those pictures are what we are planning on having done at the cemetery. So that's for currently what we're doing now. What we're also looking at to do is continue with the restoration down in the hollow, which is close to Kelker Street, not only finding all the artifacts and identifying more graves, but also making sure that we pay tribute to our veterans that are in that particular area. So with that being said, we're trying to make sure that the grass is taken care of. The trees are going to be coming down, not all of them, because we got to make sure there's something there for the deer, you know, and the animals. So that, you know, we got to be worried about our animals. And so just making sure that the continuation of getting this information out, not only within our community, but also nationally. As you know, Midland Cemetery has been international for a number of years. We've been in Slavery, The Making of America, that movie. We've been on WITF many times. We've been in all national and international newspapers. So I want to continue with that, bringing in the tourism to our area and tourism to the cemetery, making sure that we give our kids those opportunities to get educated about the local history and how it impacted the national and international history. So do you have any questions for me?
We
Do you know all about me?
I think so.
Okay, so with that being said, I do hope that you will continue to support the Friends of Midland. Okay.
Thank you.
Barbara, it's not a question, but I saw the scaffolding is there around one of the trees tonight.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on picture number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is depicting what is going to be placed on that particular tree.
wow.
All right, the other large tree that's across the driveway,
Yeah.
that scaffolding will be going up there. But right now, he's supposed to be there tomorrow, but I told him no, only because safety first.
Yeah.
And at 100 and whatever degrees, I don't want anybody up there working and, you know, worrying about them with a chainsaw on the scaffolding, get overheated, and then I have to call 911 and get you guys to have to come up there and help me to help him, you know. So that's what it's about.
Sure. I just want to add something. You said across the driveway.
Well, you know, the
Uh,
the
Manager
barber-
Trafka and the police department and other people went through quite an effort to rename that Barbara Barksdale Way. So, I mean, you referred to it as the driveway was kind of being humble and modest, but we appreciate you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that. You know, I'm still trying to get used to the Barbara Barksdale way, you know, but it's all good. God is good, and He just keep leading me on to do more things. So, thank you for your support. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Stop up and take a tour. All right. And especially if you get a chance, make sure 911, where's my guy? 911 knows all about it so that you don't arrest my chainsaw man. He's not trying to kill anybody, but just keep an eye on him for me, okay? Because I can't always be there. All right. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. next we have the Family Fresh Food Pantry.
Good evening, everyone. I guess you're getting tired of seeing me every month.
Never.
I run the Family Fresh Food Pantry at United Methodist Church. We're open every week. We have 2 weeks a year off, which we just came back from. We serve approximately 150 families a week. And when you put it into numbers, it's probably around 800 people a month that we're serving. And today we were open for the first time. We got 5 new families that joined. This is a weekly thing that we have. And now we're open twice a week because we couldn't meet the needs of once a week because people were working. They couldn't get there on our hours. So, and we're seeing an increase of people to come every Saturday. To get the food, first of all, we have to pay for it. It is not free. Second of all, we have to rent U-Hauls. I have to rent one for tomorrow to have a load brought in that we have to pay for. It's a huge undertaking. And I've been doing this since 2015, and it's just getting more and more people. So we do need the support. We are applying for the grant. And I would also like to ask for a generic support letter that I can add to other grants like Procter & Gamble I'm applying for, and other places that show the support of not only the church, not only the representative, but also the township in which we operate.
Would you want that to be blank or to whom it may concern? Or would, because as
Right.
you apply, do you want to have the opportunity to fill in who you're reaching?
No, it's just a statement
Okay.
letter saying that you guys support. It's not to whom,
Okay.
but it's to just, that I can add along with Dave's support from the representatives.
Sounds good.
Any questions for me? I handed
No.
out everything last month
Yep.
when I was here. And when will we find out about this? Because I do 2 or 3 grants a day.
Just for everyone that's here, to be transparent, we don't have any problem with any of, the requests that we've received. So next week is
Okay, super. Okay,
when these will be voted on by the board. So,
okay,
and
great.
approved.
Thank you so
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Now we have Light of Hope Disaster Relief. Remember, 5 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Kevin told me I have 25 minutes.
I'm sure.
So what brought us here tonight? Good evening, commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. Obviously, you know who I am, but my name is Brenda North, and I'm presenting Operation Light of Hope, which is a faith-based nonprofit organization based here in Swatara Township that serves individuals, families, and first responders during times of crisis and disasters. Our organization supports communities through several outreach initiatives, including our Packs of Hope backpack program for children and families in need, Hero Snack Packs, which we've assembled recently, which are packs put together with water, hydration packs, and snacks for first responders, so we can deliver them to the field when they're out working an incident. And our Lost Pet Recovery Program, which is actually something kind of new for us. But we, through the use of a drone, we are assisting families when they lose a pet. So basically what we do is we respond out with a drone. We use our thermal imaging on the drone. Just as we search for people, we utilize that to search for animals. So that's become pretty popular for us as well. And we've serviced about 10 families with that service right now. But those are all just some of the things that we're doing. 2 things that we want to do with the next round of gaming grant, if we're so blessed to be able to do so. We are, the first project is to purchase an underwater drone. In our last gaming grant, we received the funding to be able to purchase a drone, which is what we're using for the Lost Pet Recovery Program. And the underwater drone would actually be utilized in conjunction with the first responders here in Dauphin County and surrounding wherever they may need to assist in searching for individuals under the water. We had a situation about 2 weeks ago where we had a bridge jumper in Harrisburg. Unfortunately, he went under the water. We were unable to find him with the drones in the air. While we were there, we requested a resource to come out and assist, and that came from Cumberland County. That's the only local organization that has that resource available. So we are looking to purchase the underwater drone, and that would be utilized and accessible to our first responders here in Swatara Township, and also any municipality that may need that resource in a recovery or water rescue situation. And then the second item that we're looking to do is something else that is not available here in Dauphin County, but we're looking to purchase and support the emergency responders with a rehabilitation tent. And basically, what that is, it's an inflatable device. It's about 15 by 20 in size, in feet in size. And what it does, it inflates, and then we would have a portable air conditioner and heater that would make that tent encapsulated. So during the winter months, when we have incidents going on, again, here in Swatara Township or joining municipalities, we can respond out and keep the first responders warm. Right now, when we have a week where we're at 100 degrees, our guys were just out at a fire in Pembroke a little earlier. We could respond out with that tent, turn the air conditioning on, and it would give those guys the ability to cool down in a cooling tent. Again, that resource is not available. We had a drowning incident here in the township many years ago, and we called for a tent to support us in the winter, and that actually came from Mifflin County, so about an hour away. So those are the two items that we're looking to purchase with this next round of grants. So we would love for the township to support our mission. Again, these resources, we're happy to support Swatara Township first responders with them. But again, both of these projects would actually be utilized throughout Dauphin County. And that's, something we really want to encourage, that our organization is happy to respond and assist those in need. So happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Not a question, but,
Sure.
And this is for everybody that's on the list tonight. We'll meet again next Wednesday, so that's July the 8th. So that's the night where it will be on the agenda for approval. You don't have to be present to get the approval, but you need to be here. He runs
I
our
will be.
technical operation here, which
I will be here.
works some of the time. So
Yes,
we're going to
yeah.
need him here.
Yeah.
But,
Don't hold that against me.
and,
with the
and,
grant.
and just to be clear, here or not does not affect the decision, and obviously it'll be a majority vote of the board.
Absolutely.
Just wanna be-
And I'll just mention this because this did come up in the last round of gaming grant. Our organization does do fundraising and is fully capable of supporting some of the funding for that project as well. The county certainly looks to see if we'd be willing to do that, and just as we did with the last one, we would certainly do that again. So appreciate it. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And then now we have Swatara Tigers.
Was this the best for last, or they're all my
Yo,
favorites?
I'm
to
gonna
be
put
clear.
this down. I haven't grew since high school. All right.
We don't want to talk about how long ago that was.
Oh, one second. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm a Swatara Township resident, parent, former youth athlete, current youth coach, and someone who cares deeply about the future of this community. Tonight, I'm not here to complain, criticize township leadership, or ask for a handout. I'm here to discuss a partnership opportunity. The Swatara Tigers have served Swatara families since 1999. That is more than a quarter century of youth athletics, mentorship, volunteer leadership, family engagement, and community investment. This is personal to me, but it is bigger than me. In 1999, I was a youth athlete on the Swatara Tigers pony roster under founder Dr. Reverend Otis Martin. Nearly 3 decades later, I'm standing here as a parent, resident, coach, and community steward, asking how we can strengthen this same pipeline for the next generation. The Tigers are not simply a sports program, they're a community infrastructure. Former players become coaches, former players become parents, former players become volunteers, former players become firefighters, teachers, business owners, and community leaders. Organizations like the Bressler Fire Company understood this principle decades ago. Supporting youth athletics was not charity, it was an investment in public safety, neighborhood pride, discipline, future leadership. Using conservative estimates, a program serving 150 participants for 8 supervised hours each week over a 16-week season creates approximately 19,200 positive community hours. Those are structured, mentored, accountable hours invested directly in Swatara's future. Tonight, I'm asking for a conversation, not a budget amendment. I am asking the township to explore a formal community continuity partnership with the Swatara Tigers, beginning with recognition, coordination, communication, and long term planning. The question is not what can the township give the Tigers? The question is what can the township and the Tigers build together that neither could build alone? A community is not measured only by the roads it paves, it is measured by the children it prepares to walk those roads. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And as I said already, um, everyone that reached out, we fully intend to be supportive and get those support letters. And again, that'll be on the agenda next Wednesday. And as Commissioner Connolly said, you don't have to be present to get the letters. So thank you, everyone that took the time to come out and give those presentations. We're trying to revamp the way that we do these letters of support. A little bit chaotic in the past where we didn't have clear guidelines of time frames. So I appreciate you guys all abiding by the new standard that we're trying to set with regard to getting these support letters. So I appreciate you all for being here tonight. We're going to go on to item 7, visitors' requests and comments. If you have comments, please come forward, state your name and address, as well as write it down, and then you may begin.
Good evening. Michael Tucky, 5875 Gensmer Lane. I just wanted to thank Kevin for all the years of service for the township, to the residents, for everything that you've done over the years. I know we've really depended on you with all the different jobs you were asked to do, and you did it 100%. So I just wanted to thank you for all the years of service, and I wish you all the best with your retirement. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Do we have any other? Yep.
We good? All right. Steph Dodge, 91 Riverview Street. Two things, and I'll make it fairly quick. My first is I know that we are sending a data center ordinance or a combination of ordinance changes to the Planning Commission. My question was I know that then there is a decibel limit, but then there is also a section about sensitive receptors. So my question is, with that, say the decibel levels were not being exceeded, but there was a nuisance deemed by the sensitive receptors. Is that something that would hold them slightly more accountable with a continual noise? Looking at the lawyer and Zach.
So you're saying in your scenario that they are still meeting the decibel. However, it's still the sensitive receptor still feels it's a violation.
Yes.
So then if they're still meeting the decibel amounts, we can't issue any notice of violation. So they would then, in my opinion, if it's a constant problem that they feel it's harming them, they would need to come to the board and request some kind of amendment to lower the decibel readings in the noise ordinance, I believe. Yeah. So
Okay. So
we have a decibel reader. So what we would do is we come out to the property line. We would come out to the property line, do the decibel reader. If it's below, it's basically case closed because we have no authority then to issue a citation, a notice of the violation. However, if it goes above that decibel reader, that's a totally different story.
okay, would this be at the residence property line or the land use property line?
Any property line.
Okay.
Even if you're not even a sensitive receptor, we still go out to non-residential properties and make noise complaints and things.
Okay. And then my next question is, when a land use plan comes in, is there ever a time for public comment on that land use plan?
Absolutely. Yes. So the first step would be planning commission. And usually our planning commission is very good. They'll hold a plan until there's very minimal comments, like staff comments, engineer, traffic engineers, etc. So definitely be involved in the planning commission process. As soon as I receive land development, subdivision, anything, I put it right on the website within the first couple of days. So keep a look at the Facebook. We put the planning commission agenda there every month in our website.
Okay, perfect. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Keeping it short.
Hi, my name is Sarah Spellman. I just wanted to thank you all. You've talked to me, you've emailed me. I haven't gotten to see you face to face, but I just met Zach today. I'm continuing the conversation about the data center and the ordinance. I might get the word wrong, but I know we're going to advance. We're trying to advance. And I talked to Zach earlier, understanding why we're kind of pushing that through before we get the other two meetings. And I do appreciate that we're trying to get something more in. And he was saying how we could get, I might use the wrong word, but some kind of like amendments or notes added later to that. And he also noted that we were waiting some to get the Tri-County sample ordinance to base some of our things off of. So I took a look at that because I'm interested in having some kind of decommissioning plan, and it's actually noted in that plan. So I just wanted to highlight that they in that one that we're kind of basing ours off of on page 24, it talks about having that. So just wanted to highlight that just because I know we don't want to put our township at litigation risk. So I really appreciate wanting to take that in consideration, but wanted to highlight that. And also, since it is true, correct, that we are trying to base our ordinance off of that, correct? To try.
It's not word for word.
But yeah, I just saw in other areas, we seem to be more like for the height, it recommends, I think, 70 feet and we're allowing 150. So there's different areas that we seem to be more generous.
The height?
Yeah.
I think ours was lowered from what would normally be in mixed use 120 to 105 at the last meeting.
Okay, yeah, and theirs, they put 75, I think, in their sample
Yeah,
ordinance.
oh, you're just saying it was different.
It's just saying,
Yeah,
if we're
yeah.
basing it on that, I kind of wondered why we are choosing to somewhat be more lenient than what it's proposing.
So the reason why we did that is we're trying to stay equal to all industrial uses. We don't want to single out one particular use and do something drastically different than another industrial use, for example.
Uh-huh.
So think of it as a warehouse.
Yeah.
So it's similar to the warehouse height.
Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to because I know South Hanover Township is putting forward a little more of aggressive ordinance. I didn't know, have we spoken to them? Because I would also think they wouldn't want to be litigated, just that we are sharing knowledge.
I'll answer. Zach and I'm the committee chair of that. We look at everything. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're speaking with other people. We're not trying to get into their business or
Right.
recommendations or back and forth, but we're watching everything. And we also feel that maybe the Tri-County um, model ordinance was watching us, because we went
Okay.
first. So, until that was completed, it didn't make a lot of sense for us to be doing a parallel, ordinance. So we were waiting that out. But um, Swatara Township is different than South Hanover in the fact that they have more open space.
Yeah. I
So
talked to Zach with that.
and I was going to get into this later, but real quick, the places we picked had some reasons that they were picked, and everybody brings this up. So they have access to water, sewer, power, and fiber. So if we had picked other places, then we would have the disruption of um, electric towers with power lines and things coming to another community. So
Right.
the whole map was open. We picked the places we thought made the most sense, and then those places have some natural um, built-in features where maybe they're up against a highway or they're up against a quarry, or there's no sensitive receptors for the most part, with the exception of homes. So everything I think that South Hanover's doing and that everyone else is doing, we did too, but we did it how it applies to our map and our township. And on that 120, so just say it wasn't a data center. Anybody that was going in there in municipal use for all these years could build to the height of 120. And I think the reasonable, thought, and this happened well before me, 120, you're in between two airports. So you can't be much higher anyway.
Yeah.
So we looked at, the height that data centers are and with, whether they have protections, shielding, or things like that. And we thought that, they probably didn't need 120. So it's something that we actually reduced. Not everything in a model ordinance is model for our location.
Yeah.
So that I just want to be clear on that. And
Yeah.
it's not that we didn't follow it as closely as we could or work with them. But South Hanover, maybe it's flat farmland, and they have different height restrictions.
Yeah.
So and I appreciate what you're saying. You seem extremely intelligent on the subject to notice those differences. But I don't know that any ordinance would be exactly the same. If you took one from somewhere else, it might not match your community.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do all of those things.
Yeah.
Most protections for residents and match to the locations that we have. We don't want to go so far that it appears that we're trying to overregulate that someone can't come in.
Yeah.
And I'll just put one other thing because I have it for the end. I tell everybody 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and then I talk a long time. But the places that we picked were also places that had been, for years. I mean, obviously the golf course since I want to say it was '93 that they took it over. I don't know when it was financially distressed, but it has a certain use that's pretty intensive that a lot of people generally might not, the chemicals and the things that go in there might not be the best use, but I mean, it's also viewed as a nice recreation space. The farm, I sit on the CapCog, and I heard a lot about clean and green, and then also farm preservation and all these things. No one was really interested in that. It was, it's privately owned, both of them, even though it's publicly owned in a general way. It's run by the Dauphin County General Authority. It's not us. So both of those places were, relatively in a position where they were up for sale, had been for sale, and they were going to be developed. So, you talk about minimal disruption. You're talking about places that already were going to have something. That we're getting to the point, I think, that something was going to be there, and that really was confirmed by, there was a sale of the farm to a person who's known to develop and put. So there were something was coming there, and by the actions of the Dauphin County General Authority, they were trying to get out of the golf business because of debt. I'm not saying the board that's there now created the debt, but things were happening, so it made the most sense from the standpoint of protecting our residents to pick those two places. So we already have things built in that maybe South Hanover or another place might not have. So sorry if that was too long, but
That's okay. That's nice context. Well, thank you again, and I do hope that you take a look at the decommissioning part. Thank you.
thank you.
Hello.
Jen Kennedy, 1121 Cherry Drive. How are you guys all doing?
Beautiful.
Cool.
Um,
and here.
I wanted to say I saw that the data center, that well, I won't say data center, the ordinance was on the agenda for tonight, and I was a little surprised. And I know somebody followed up with Zach and inquired as to why, like, because we thought we had a little bit more time to kind of comment on it. But I appreciate the fact that you're trying to get it through. So at this point, I don't want to stop that process, but I don't think that the ordinance is perfect. So I want to make sure we have another opportunity at some point. If the application is not received before that, once the ordinance is passed, do we have another opportunity to comment?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I thought that was the case, but I wanted to make sure. I also want to say happy July 4th to everyone. Also, I was thinking about what I wanted to say at this meeting tonight, and I was at work thinking about it, stressing about it, and was also planning my vacation next week with my 6 kids and 7 grandkids and their spouses, and I was like, what's more stressful? That trip is more stressful. So just so you know, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to talk about was, I know I brought this up before, was the personal wells. I know in this ordinance it says within 1,000 feet of the property, all wells have to be identified and tested. I would be one of those people within 1,000 feet. So does that include me? And is there like testing involved with, like, it doesn't outline, they have to do a study, but does it outline, do they have to test my water? If it's damaged in construction, those are things I would like to see addressed.
That's something I can definitely talk to Gerald Duke with Tri County and see what they mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Could possibly be specified better. But
Okay.
yeah, that's a thing we took from Tri County. Gerald will be at our planning commission on the 14th, so he would be the expert on that model ordinance.
Okay, I'll be here. I just want to ask about, because I'm within 1,000
I
feet
just
of the
wanna add-
property line.
and this is for everybody, but specifically for you. You have questions because of where you live and concerns. I would recommend, and I've been saying this to everybody that's emailing me or calling me. You can send anything to me, but if you copy Zach on it, then he could be following up and getting answers that you don't come to. Like when you come tonight, it's not like it's necessarily taking anybody by surprise, but no one's actually ready to answer specific questions. So something that pertains to you, he could research,
Okay.
run it by the other people, and then you could have that route. But you're certainly welcome to come to any of the meetings. But a lot of times if you come to the meeting, you might not get the answer of the question you're asking at that time because it has to be researched. So
Yeah, I just thought I had more
yeah.
time tonight, but I'd rather see it
yeah.
move forward than stop it at this point. The other thing was, I'm gonna talk about the setback. A lot of ordinances are 500 to 1,000 feet, so I'm always gonna. I know you came up with the 210, and that I know that, but I feel like this is a 200-acre piece of land, and they're allowed to build 50% of it. So that's 100 acres. That's a big building. So I want to just revisit that if we can after this ordinance goes through. But that's all I had. Thank you. Happy
you.
4th.
Thank you.
Happy 4th. Thank you. Thank you.
So Loftus, 5631 Plainview Drive. I've been here before, and I'm still adamantly against the project, and it's no secret. Um, if you look at things in the newspaper and read articles, it does say many places that projects of this type tend to be disproportionately placed in communities of color. Okay, and we've got within less than a mile of this project, approximately 700 yards from one end of the golf course to the Steelton Elementary School and High School. We've got that within 700 yards. That school has about 1,400 students altogether with the two schools. Then you've got Swatara Junior, that's around 500 yards of the project. This is as the crow flies. And they have about 600 students. And we've got Tri-County, which is about 800 yards from where one of the buildings would be. And they've got about 450 students. Steelton School, 5% minority. Swatara and Tri-County are over 80% minority. So when you look at the high particle pollution level that this project is going to bring, along with their diesel generators, I'm assuming that they're going to have diesel generators, right, for backup?
No
Okay.
project has been submitted, so
Okay.
you're talking.
So
about
if they are, okay, so if they're going to have diesel generators and their proximity to these schools is so close, we need to make sure that whenever we put together an ordinance, that they're just not going to turn on those generators when the price of the electric grid is too high, just to save them money, and thereby, sending clouds of pollution down to these schools. It's very unfair. Steelton is an environmental justice area, and like I said, it's only 700 yards from where this building is going to be. I think we need to take the quality of life and health of the residents into consideration. Steelton does have a higher than average asthma rate, and we're going to exacerbate it, especially on days like today. You've got high ozone going on right now. So what if the data center says, oh my goodness, I'm seeing that my flexible grid electric rate is too high. Let me turn on turn on the diesels, which there could be many diesels within one building. Are we going to limit the number of diesel generators that they can turn on during a high ozone alert day?
This is something that was already addressed at one of our previous meetings because other residents brought up your questions. And
Okay.
that is, I believe Zach will
Okay.
answer it, but
And then,
that's in the ordinance.
then probably too, we should request, and maybe we should have the school district request, that they put upgraded air purification systems in the schools that are around here for the children.
So
Okay.
If the project is submitted, then during the
Okay.
land development plan, that's something that could be addressed.
Okay. And then, this is a different matter altogether. When did the skill games fee come before the board? I was just wondering. The $500 per machine?
I didn't hear the question.
When was that? You mean when was that?
Yeah,
approved?
what meeting was that approved in?
It was
month
brought
ago?
forth in May.
Yeah.
They approved an advertisement
Okay.
in May, and then it was
Okay.
adopted in June.
Okay. And you sent.
No.
There was the places that had the skills games.
Okay, so nonprofits were included. Okay. Okay. And then you requested donations from the nonprofits too recently. So sometimes we're like double dipping here.
To be clear on that,
Who
the
requested the
regulation
donation?
was to cover costs here. We get calls about those,
Mhm.
whether it's police or codes. The cost was a fraction of a percent of the revenue that's produced, a fraction of a percent, maybe like 0.25%, a quarter of a percent. It was the place that had the skills game, and then also the owner of the skills game. At the time, there was no state regulations. They weren't regulated as gaming. Okay, so our action to regulate them and have them brought under, some type of government oversight was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to nonprofits or businesses that use those, because it was a fraction of a percent. They would still have their money to do things, whether they wanted to donate or not. The two bills that are competing against us is 35% of all money that goes into the skills game, or 52% of all money that goes into the skills game based on the casino things. So it's very unfortunate for anybody that ours
Now are struggling with utility bills. Their utility bills have gone up too.
And imagine
So
that
now,
they would
yeah,
be able to generate lots of money from the skills game by complying with a small regulation. So you're right; they would have kept 99.75% of their money to do what they want. Now they're going to have either 2/3 or half. So it's going to be a hard.
Why don't you
Well-
clarify what you're talking about with regard to the bill? Because I don't know. I'm not sure if she's aware.
And no one's paying us now.
No,
Yeah.
with the state, like
Yeah,
these.
I know that it's
Yeah,
still in flux right now, really,
Right.
with what
But I'm
where they're
saying,
going with the skill
if
games.
any of the three options pan out,
The proposals that he's talking about were from the state as
Right.
far as regulations. So ours was a
Right.
very small.
Right, but your fee came from the township.
right?
here,
So we feel kind of like
Right.
you do. We feel bad that they're going to lose an incredible amount of nonprofits as
Mhm.
well as businesses. You're separating a nonprofit who has a
Mhm.
skills game versus a business that has a skills game.
Right,
The
right.
fee was on the skills games.
Right.
The nonprofits don't have to have them, but they do, and it generates
They
money.
do,
They do a
yeah.
lot of good
Yeah,
things,
they do.
and we really supported that.
Yeah, but I don't know. To the tune of $500 a machine
Right,
is
extremely.
quite a bit. When they're already struggling with utilities,
It's
like everybody else in the
35%
community.
of the earnings from the game.
It's a
that,
lot.
That math is. Do you not
Yeah.
understand that if say $100,000 a month a machine makes, clearly 35%, which is being proposed by the
I don't think a
state for
machine makes
regulation,
100,000 a month.
is
It's
no.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
As an
there's a
example, yeah.
situation where one of these skills game was in a private club, which
Mhm.
is a nonprofit, and someone that worked there was able to steal like $80,000 in a month. So they make a lot of money. So
Well, I'm not privy to
that's
stealing
what's in
and
the
all of
news.
that goes
That's
on,
something that
but
could be Googled.
yeah.
That was a
Okay.
news article.
It just seems like a lot, and they're saying that it is a lot,
Okay.
and they're not appreciative. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, can I just address the
Yes, go for it. I'm sorry, I
generator
cut you
thing
off.
just to
Yep.
nip that in the butt quick?
Yeah.
So it's not possible with our ordinance to use backup generators to generate electric when they have electric supply already. This ordinance clearly states that they can only use it during emergencies only. And if they're going to test their generators, they can only do it from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if a resident would ever notice that the generators are running anytime other than that and there's not an emergency, they call us right away. We'd be out there enforcing the ordinance. So.
Thank you.
I'll just add very briefly that the emissions from all sorts of generators are regulated by the state and not the township, generally speaking. So the emissions, what comes out of them, there's a whole program for that. There's minor source review. They have to make application. DEP can curtail the number of hours that they run and the pounds of emissions that come from them and that sort of thing. Also, there's natural gas available. I think they tend to be fired on natural gas as opposed to diesel.
Thank you for that too. Do we have any other visitors' requests and comments at this time?
Josh Lincoln, 1315 Highland Street. Came here about 8 months ago with the concern of the pathway to the Bishop Farm on how it was using old documentation of a paper street. This past week, I noticed that said amended pathway back in 2025 from the original plan of 2022 is still going forward, and they actually just paved it, and it's perpetuating crime on my property because of it. People are trespassing through my backyard to then get to the park. As you're well aware, there are plenty of people that go on to the unfinished park to play on the playground. There's not proper signage. It has been addressed before. There's not proper signage at either of the entrances, whether it's the cul-de-sac up above me or on Highland Street itself. And then, in addition, I'm getting anywhere between 3 to 10 people a week walking through my property because the pathway that was changed is pretty much, conveniently convincing people, well, I want to go from point A to point B, so I'm going to go through the property that interferes to me from the path of least resistance. And it's becoming a problem. My children play in the backyard. I do not want random people walking in my backyard on my property, and the township's kind of just in essence allowing this to happen because they've just paved a path that goes to nothing other than my yard. So again, kind of follow up from 8 months ago. I know I was supposed to get an email from it, never did. Why was the pathway changed from the original plan of 2022, where I know PennDOT is now going to make a sidewalk out front, like they had agreed to that funding, and that was the original plan as well. But why nothing was done between when I first brought it up and now it's fully paved, and it's a path to nowhere, and it's kind of a waste of funding. So
Just because it's a construction project and the path will go into the newly constructed 25-acre park. So if we need signs right now for no trespassing or we need something across there, we can do that.
So how's that path that goes into my backyard going to work for the public? Because what you're saying
No,
right now,
ours is going to be just on our property, our easement, our opening. So nothing in your yard. Yeah, there should be no construction in your yard.
So I get that, and
Yeah.
that's not what I'm actually
Oh.
saying. What I explained before is the path ends right on the property line.
Mhm.
People are seeing the path and they want to go to the park. They're walking through my property to get to that path. What I'm getting at is, why was the path created when it serves no guidance? Like, it wasn't accessible from the street. It's only accessible through my property.
No, it will be accessible from the street.
Which street?
Uh,
So
yeah, corner. Yeah.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
As I had stated previously,
Mhm.
that is a paper street that the township no longer has authorization to because it's not been touched for 21 years per state law, held up by the state Supreme Court. So how are you going to access that if you're literally taking property away? And it's supposed to be 51% of conjoining property owners are supposed to agree to it,
Mhm.
and nobody has said anything to us.
I think you're mixing up a couple things, to be honest with you. So,
Okay.
We're going to enter the park through the property that the park was designed to have. Granted, it goes
Change.
next to your house.
Change, not
Right,
design.
but it goes next to your house. So you're saying you don't like that?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is currently there is no connection between Horner Avenue and Bishop Farm Park. The
Okay.
connection would be my property and my neighbor's property. So you're at that point stealing property.
I think you would have a deed, and you'll know where your property ends.
Oh, I do.
And your neighbor will know where their property ends.
They do.
And then in between those two things will be what's commonly referred to as
A
an
right
alley
of
or
way,
entrance.
a right of way that is a paper street that reverted back to the conjoining property owners when it was not properly used.
Okay.
So, and this is where my concern is, because you have this build it and we will enforce attitude of, well, we built the path, so now you just have to deal with it. So,
Yeah, but you won't, because your property will remain the same.
but I am. I'm having people trespass through my yard.
Right,
So I
and,
am
and we want to address that. That's why we're putting a path that will be paved, that will be welcoming, that will have the rules to the park.
correct into my
Yeah.
backyard. Yeah.
No, you keep adding that part.
It's not added.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
So
you're saying because you thought property that was next to you was yours, it is yours.
it's not thought. It is.
Okay.
The paper streets, 20 feet
Well,
of right of way, 10 feet on each side is to each property owner. So
Mhm.
there's no thought. It's factual. So, and I had brought that up, but also in addition to that, if we are already getting a pathway along Highland Street
Mhm.
and paid for by PennDOT, why was that not amended to then mitigate a path going into Horner? Because at that point, it's not really needed.
Well, there's lots of people in your neighborhood, and they'd like to be able to get into the park without going on to 441. So
Well, there's going to be a sidewalk there, so they won't be on 441. They'll be on the sidewalk.
Does the Highland Street extend the whole way up? No, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
we
It
could
doesn't
just
go
keep
the
saying
whole
the same
way
thing, but
up.
you said it 8 months ago, and we looked into it.
Yeah.
And we're putting the park in the entrance where it was designed. So, yeah. But if you have issues about your yard, I mean, you could talk to if somebody's walking through
If
your
you
yard,
want
that's all
to
different.
leave your contact information, because you're saying that you didn't get an email before, I don't know if you want to write it down on a piece of paper, give it to Zach, and then you can give like more specifics, because obviously this is something that's specific to you, and it probably will warrant coming to see. So we're not going to be able to answer your questions here because we're not there. So if you do that, then we can work on following up and see, you know, what can be done with regard to what your complaint is. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other visitors' requests and comments at this time?
Thank you. Okay. Sarah Pinter, 2010 Green Street, Harrisburg. I did want to get a little bit more clarity around what you were saying regarding the use of generators. I checked the ordinance just now just to make sure I was understanding this correctly. I don't really see that there is any specific limitation on the duration of their use, and it also does not define emergency. So I think that that is relevant to the lady's question earlier about the use of generators on site. If we don't define what an emergency is in this instance, how do we limit how long they would actually be using it? Because again, we do not put a total duration limit on their use. It also, these limitations that relate to noise about the time of day that they can be used, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I believe, does not do anything about the air quality concerns that she was raising.
Can I address that? Do you mind?
Sure.
It does state that. So if you go to page 25 and then number 5.
So could you read that for folks?
Generator use is limited to backup emergency use only.
Yeah. So what
It was your
defines
question
emergency
that
backup use?
this spurred this conversation the last time. Honestly, I think it was your question that like you this is the second time you're asking this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this conversation. Okay, I just want to make sure that because I knew it had been discussed, but I thought, yeah, okay. Sorry, I just want to
Right.
clarify
So
that.
like what then is the definition of emergency backup? What is the emergency? How is that defined?
I would assume it's an emergency where the electric's off.
So if the residents don't have power, if the data center doesn't have power, like I think just assuming that they will do this in a responsible way is probably not a good idea, is all I'm saying. I think that their definition of an emergency will probably be really different than our definition of emergency, especially if they are going to be required to shed load in the event of a grid scale emergency. In which case they would probably just run their generators for as long as they needed to, because that's an emergency to them.
And then backup generator is defined as to generate electricity during a power outage or similar emergency.
But an outage on site, or is that an outage for the township? Is that an outage in the distribution zone
I would say on site.
on site.
That's for any backup generator.
So if PJM is putting out an order that there is not an outage necessarily, they're saying you're going to shed load and you're going to do it right now, and that means they're getting shut off. Is that an emergency?
I don't think that would happen. I mean, the ordinance doesn't allow that. It's for backup emergency only.
So we're going to run into times in the very near future where we will not have enough power, and PJM, our regional transmission operator, is going to tell us your region is going to shed load and people are going to get shut off. That's going to happen because of these data centers coming in. And so I think we need a better definition of what defines an emergency.
Would these be concerns that the PUC would be? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're talking to the lowest level of government that has the least oversight of anything. So if that's a concern, then you need to go to the higher entities that are in charge of that. That's not like the PUC, the state, like those are the places, like you're here advocating, but there are other places to advocate too that have much more control over these things that you're concerned about than what we do. Like we're in a position where we have to have data centers in the ordinance, whether any of us actually want it or not. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that we have the protections that we are able to put in place. So like, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. Like, this isn't because we want to do
Make sure
it.
everybody understands that you have the ability to do this in your ordinance and you're not going to.
We
So moving
we've done
on,
everything that we
my other
can at
comments
this level.
include
Those are
that
things that you should
guys
advocate
told
to the
entire
PUC.
group of people that was here last time I was in this room that we would have 2 and maybe 3 more chances to give public comment on this. And now what we are being told is that it is too late and that we need to pass this tonight because there's not enough time, and that if we want to see changes, that we're going to delay the process and then it'll be our fault.
That was
So
discussed. That was discussed in the meeting that you were at too, that it needs to move forward so that we can have something in place before something is submitted. That was discussed. I was here too, like at the same meeting that you were at. We said that in public.
So what are the other opportunities then that you mentioned that we would have to give public comment?
Tonight, the 14th.
But if we change
August
anything about
5th,
it
so
tonight
that's
based on
3.
the
So
public
you're saying
comment,
you said 2 or 3.
And we've also corresponded with, like, other people have corresponded with us for almost a year at this point, an extensive, not an extensive amount of time, but we worked on this. We passed something, a year ago? Guidance came out in April. Like, we're doing everything that we can to make sure something's in place before something is submitted. So
sure. So then that
we
brings me
can't
to my
have
next point.
the reality, unfortunately, for we can't have everything that you want, because ultimately what you want is not to have it. And I'm not saying that I don't want that too, but I've said this a whole bunch of times. It's a balancing act of what we can do. This township has been sued and lost land development things before. We're trying to walk the fine line of making sure that we can
So
have.
then are you guys afraid of being sued by the residents when the developer inevitably does not follow these
You're not
regulations?
understanding
We
what I'm
protect
saying.
township
We
residents.
sued and we
You're in
lost.
Harrisburg, and you come here every time and say all these things that's just
I'm just going to
applying
say,
us.
we were sued and we lost. So then that meant that we did not have the ability to protect residents from a project. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
We've been in that position already. We're not going to be in it again.
So then great. So that brings me to my next point is, like, if that was the case, then why are you telling us now that, like, we got to pass this version and then we'll do another amendment? Why didn't you just do a better amendment the last time? Like, why are we going to go through this whole process again?
I think it was already explained that we took a model ordinance and tried to make it fit the land that we have here.
So then you're telling people, like, we got to push
that's
forward
why.
with this version of it, right? We got to push forward with
Yes,
this version
because
of it,
if
and
we
then we'll make
don't-
more changes later. So if this was the case, why didn't we just do a better version before?
Everything is on spec right now. There's no plan, right?
Mhm.
So the things that you're asking for, we have addressed. Again, the backup generator.
Not
like I
adequately,
said,
though, as
but
demonstrated by everybody.
that's your opinion, and that's not based on like legal review or anything like that either. Like, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion, but that's not based on like solicitors taking time
I think
looking
it's
through
kind of
it.
unfair to be like, well, we're going to do this, and then we'll do maybe something else later. Like, that doesn't sound like what you're actually planning to do then.
Again, if we do nothing, if we wait until it's perfect in your eyes, who is the determining factor of when it's perfect? Whose standard is that?
I don't listen. I don't know.
Right. And you don't have to sit up here and take the criticism either. We do. There's always going to be criticism. We have to be able to put forward something that we all are comfortable with voting on. And we have to take into account the legal aspect of it. Like, it is a balancing act. And I think we've been open and transparent. We've had lots of discussions with regard to what the public wants to see in this ordinance. We've made changes based on things that people have sent us. Like, we've done everything that we can. It's not going to be perfect for everybody. Like, that's reality. That's the unfortunate reality of sitting in this seat.
So then,
But
final
we have to do
question.
something to protect the overwhelming majority of the people that lived here. And that's what we're doing.
So final question then. Could you please clarify? So you're gonna do this ordinance. Are you doing another ordinance then after this, or what is the plan there?
What was stated by Zach was that it's possible to do a text amendment after this is passed.
I think I put this on the agenda. Okay, me. So the purpose is pass this as fast as possible. We have no idea when an application's coming in. Okay, this is 99. What you probably looked at it, 99.5% tri-county model. It's not going to be perfect to everybody. However, I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect everybody in this room and go as fast as possible before we get an actual application. So that's the purpose of it. I'll take the blame for putting it on the agenda. But if we push it back and push it back and push it back to try to make it perfect in everybody's eyes, we're setting ourselves up for having nothing. So it might not be the perfect, but we hear you. We're going to listen to you at our planning commission meeting. The planning commission is going to provide comments to the board. The board can then take those comments, push it back another month, push it back another 2 months. I don't recommend that personally because it sets us up for vulnerability for submitting plans. I try to explain that to the group. But yeah, text amendments are possible at any time. So we can tweak little.
Essentially, in this case, an imperfect something is better than nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yes. And I'm sure you would agree this is a million times better than what we currently have.
Right.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
And again, what we currently have was based on no guidance from anyone anywhere. Like, we had nothing to go off of. Like I said, the guidance that you're referring to just came out in April. We're trying to, it's July. So we're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that residents are protected to the best of our ability, which is limited. That's the reality. It's limited. It's very limited. The things that you're advocating for, and again, I'm not saying I disagree with you or anything like that. I'm saying if you have things that are not under our jurisdiction, then advocate to the entities that are responsible for it, because we can't
Things are
do
under
that.
your jurisdiction. I will go. To
You
the
can keep
appropriate
saying that, but it's not. It's not.
I mean, I'll jump in a little bit on the generator thing. All kinds of entities have generators, including schools and hospitals and even
I'm familiar.
residences, right? So there's a statewide program administered by the PUC that allows utilities to pay people with generators, as you probably know, to keep them available and to avoid a brownout becoming a blackout. They pay them just
Yes, they're load shedding events. Thank you.
right. Okay. So that's not a township program, and the township doesn't have the ability to supersede that program or step in and regulate something that's preempted by a statewide program. I think you're starting from the concept of, I don't like the data center project, so I want to find regulations so we can pin only to that use. And as Zach would point out, are we going to regulate every generation apparatus within the township, or only the data center one because we don't like the data center? That's where you get into problems in enforcement. The other major point is one I think you well understand, and that's don't let the whatever it is, good perfect be the enemy of the good or whatever. But if you go and make a convincing case that there's something absolutely essential to regulate data centers in your view, and you convince everybody that you're right, and it delays the passing of the ordinance because it has to be revised and republished and go to the planning commission and the county planning commission again, then boom, what happens is something that's happened in this township in the past. The developer sees that process, files the land development plan, and it's under the then current version of it. So you let that
Yeah, you guys have made your fear of being sued by the developer very clear. I understand where you're coming from, and I
It's not a
understand that
fear,
you're
that's
not.
actually happened, and we're in
Yeah.
a position where we do not have any say over a development. Like that's something that should terrify everyone in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm not going to put our township in that position again. Didn't agree with it then. Not going to do it again. So I was not supportive of that.
All right.
Like
Thank you for your time.
That's honestly that's an irresponsible position to take. That it's okay to move forward with something that gets us in a position where we have no protections for anybody. That's irresponsible for everyone that lives close to it.
Hey everybody, my name is John Werner. I reside at 157 South Pitt Street in Carlisle, PA, and I'm just coming here today. I'm a Carlisle resident, but my parents live minutes from the Middlesex data center facility, and I just wanted to say I genuinely appreciate the situation that you guys are in, trying to get ahead of this, because what's going on in Middlesex is a nightmare, and it affects every surrounding community. And from the air pollution from their projected kind of yo-yoing, but at minimum 557 was like ballpark the last diesel generator quote they gave us, and they have committed to using diesel generators. Uh, they have yo-yoing job numbers when they talk about the economic impact, and when they quote them on the higher end, it's based on projected billable hours generated for surrounding businesses. Like people are going to order enough pizza that they're going to have to hire hundreds of people, and it sucks. It's a nightmare. No one's happy about it, and it's led to a really acrimonious relationship between the township and the residents. And I know things like that crop up that are stressful and heated all the time. I'm sure in your position, but it really is awful. And I think, you know, however inadequate people might feel the specific ordinance that you guys are voting on to be, I would sincerely urge you guys to consider looking at some of the environmental org model ordinances that are out there as you pursue amendments down the line, specifically Penn Futures, which they've had a million attorneys look at. I'm sure you're going to look at it too. Uh, I also Food and Water Watch's model ordinance differs from Penn Future in certain crucial respects, but is also worth looking at. And I would also a local organization, Move Past Plastic. They've done some stuff in Dauphin, a lot of things in Cumberland County, but they have a model ordinance that they worked with a bunch of former EPA and DEP people to develop, and it is currently being implemented in Bucks County, and it is also the basis of Carlisle Borough. I'm not privy to those conversations, and I don't know what's going on, but it was submitted to Carlisle Borough, and they are currently reviewing it to serve as a basis for their own protective land use and zoning around this issue. And so, again, sincerely, thank you for trying to do something. It sucks. This is like a lose-lose situation for everybody, and it is really, really shameful that everyone around the region, whether residents, local government, is at the whim of people with money coming in and putting us in a situation to dictate terms to us. And so it sucks. Thank you for what you're doing. This really, I know it's stressful and people feel strongly about this, but this is infinitely nicer, better than every conversation in Middlesex, which from the very beginning have been hostile and acrimonious. And so thank you again. Yeah.
Could you do?
Thank you.
Zach's the director of planning and zoning.
Yeah.
It seems like it wouldn't be a problem for you to
email those.
get his
things.
email.
Yeah.
Anything you have, and we've gotten a lot of those from other people here. But in case there's something in there that we didn't read or review,
Yeah.
if you want to send that on. And I don't know enough about Middlesex, but obviously if there's construction, they have a plan. They're at a different place. And if there's anything we can learn from that or do better, we're certainly willing to look at it.
And I think too, a crucial difference there is they have a zoning overlay where, whereas you guys are pursuing, like it sounds like to me, yeah. And so, and their overlay process was fraught and, is facing a substantive validity challenge from the residents. I have no idea how that's going either, but there are genuine questions of legal process that people believe Middlesex did not satisfy. I can't speak to that, but it's really fraught, and the unfortunate fact is people can't, there aren't municipal mechanisms, but there also aren't state mechanisms to really rein the developers in, and there have been several times where Middlesex code enforcement has had to go and issue them a stop order because both from the PPL build out to power the facility has been is the only thing that's like finally approved at this point in time, but there is evidence that earlier that they were moving building materials on site for other phases. There've been a whole host of issues with the blasting, which are being reported to DEP, but also complaints locally, and so it's a terrible situation, and it's a terrible situation for the staff that has to enforce this stuff. And yeah. So I'm very happy to grab his email and send stuff along. But again, however stressful this is, sincerely, it's much less acrimonious than Middlesex, and that's nice to see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I got one if it's
Pen?
not writing.
Yeah, you want a pen? Here.
Um,
I'll get it after. You're good. No, because I still you can leave it up there. Oh, he's doing it.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
We're
It's
good.
fine.
I
No,
got
it's
two.
fine. Yeah, I have
We're good.
another
We're all good.
another one. I have the one I'm using. Yeah.
Todd Lebo,
I got you.
Todd Lebo, 910 Penn Street. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. One thing I want to say is I'm a little bit concerned about the noise ordinance that you have. I believe it's 60 to 70. I'm not sure it's spelled out, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it's between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., but I don't see anything between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Am I wrong in that? I hope I am wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm not sure if we left them the same, and that's why that. But there was in the model ordinance and in our ordinance there were different numbers, but there definitely was a 24-hour.
Okay,
Yeah,
I would hope there would be.
Yes.
And I kind of thought there would be, but I also want to say that as far as the generators go, I think we need to be careful on some of the ordinances that wrote and challenged on how they're wrote in court. So the way they're wrote is extremely important because what is said can be challenged. It's the wording of them that's very important. So like in Archibald, now that's a different up there. There's going to be about 400 generators. Okay, that's a big lot of generators. I'm not saying there's 400 here, but there'll be some. Okay, so they can test them every fourth month. They can test them. Okay, that sounds great, but only 4 hours a day, right? 4 hours a day. That doesn't sound that bad. However, there's 400 generators. Do the math. It means they're running them every day. See, that's why it's so important. And I don't really understand what Sarah was saying. I don't really understand why that was so contentious, because she was just trying to say that the wording of it is very important. What is an emergency? That can be challenged. So I don't understand why that became contentious. And I'm not pointing, fingers at anybody or anything like that.
I'll just
But I
say
think
if you've
that's what she was trying
in
to
here
say.
before, that's how I speak. So if anyone takes that to offense, I'm sorry. I'm passionate about, and it comes across that way. No, I'm just saying that for everyone. Anyway,
But I think that's what she was saying, that these have to be written so carefully. And I'm not saying you guys aren't, and I'm not challenging your motives or anything like that. I believe you're doing it in the township's best interest. And I believe that. Okay. But that's all she's saying. So there's, like I'm saying about the generators, that was written by, the 400 generator deal. was written in the proposal. That got caught, thank gosh. So that's where we have to be very
So in that case, if it's one per day, it's every day, like you said. But how does that compare if they all ran them at the same time? You know what I mean? Like, what's the? Like, I don't think there's a
They would
good
have to
good
run-
situation.
They have to at least run 2 a day.
Yeah.
For 4 hours a day. So that, would they run them 8 hours a day then?
Madam President.
Yep.
He actually brought up a very good point. I'm glad you said that because it looks like it was accidentally lined through.
Okay.
So you caught a very good mistake.
And that was the intent to use the same numbers the whole way. Is that why we did that?
So for some reason, I lined out 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So this is an amendment, we can easily make tonight.
Okay,
Include
great.
it in the advertisement.
And also, just want to bring up again. I'm not pointing fingers, but when this all happened, we all got whoa. I live real close to it, and they said, okay, we're going to play golf till 2027, right? We're going to play golf to 2000. Okay, now I'm thinking I might move, So I'm thinking 2 years. I got 2 years to plan because I've lived here since 1993. I don't want to move, but I might because I don't know how it's going to affect my life. Okay. So then it was said, okay, then they put something out and said, well, no, it's going to be 2026, but we're going to play till 2026, the end. And now all of a sudden, it's in October. So the message to that, there's where a lot of mistrust came. I didn't know. I figured there was something in there that said you can close at any time. But why was there 3 different dates? Why? Why was it 2027 and then till 27? Why was it we're going to play golf till the end of 26, the whole season, which would be December 31st. Now it's October. It's done. We're done.
Yeah, those are good questions. I was out of state, and I saw that. I think that just happened in June. And I think they have public meetings over there at the golf course. I've never attended, so I don't. So I'm sure that was discussed, but that's not us. I mean, that's the Dauphin County General Authority.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's and I don't understand. Well, I have a better understanding now of local politics, and that's my fault. I've been ignorant my whole life of local politics. I didn't pay attention to them. I pay attention to them now because it is the most important. Probably the most that affects you
is.
directly is your local.
Absolutely.
And we all look at the national, but we don't. That's in the news, but we don't pay attention to what's happening in our backyard. That's on me. That's on me. But the thing about that is, they're unelected bureaucracy that sold the golf course. That doesn't sit well with me. I elect you. You're all elected. They're not. Doesn't sit well, and I don't want to get into all that.
Yeah.
I understand it now. Yeah. But anyway, there's my comments. I appreciate you having me, and thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out.
I just want to point out one thing to your comment too, with regard to the change in the schedule for the golf. That's kind of a motivator for us to pass this ordinance. You know what I mean?
And that's
yeah, like
the township has been, the people, the ones pushing you guys. I know that are pushing you guys to do this as they should.
Well,
and that's how it works.
Yeah, and
push our
we also want to be ahead of it. Like we did our best to be ahead of it when there was no guy. So trying to work in conjunction with the residents, but there isn't going to be not everyone's going to be happy no matter what we do. That's the reality of sitting in this seat. But it is what it is. Like we signed up for it.
But isn't 60 to 70 a little loud? A 70 is a vacuum cleaner running all the time.
So what the
70 sounds a little loud.
So the nighttime would be 55.
55?
Yes.
Okay.
The nighttime.
Daytime would be 70.
The
My
daytime.
property line would be 70. A vacuum cleaner running.
What is it before we even did anything?
That's what I was going to ask.
Before, like right now, it's 62. So we're reducing it to 60 dBAs, and we're adding
60 to 70
dBCs.
Okay, can you explain that to me because I don't understand
I wish I could.
And again, that's something that was advocated for from people coming to these meetings to add DBC. Like unfortunately, there's no one here that can explain to you the difference between DB
So
and
it's
DBC.
60.
For your
So, yeah, we are reducing our current
It was 62, we went down 2.
Correct. And also lot line the principal residential use that is not it was 65. So if your house is in a commercial, for example, it was 65. It is as of today. We're reducing that to 60. But yeah, so we did reduce it. We didn't.
And ours were lower than surrounding municipalities before this conversation started.
And these numbers were given to us by Tri-County. So that's going to be a good question for Gerald of where they got those from.
Yeah, but we'll certainly get that
And
omission
then
fixed.
one other quick
Yeah.
question. Okay, I'm under the impression that, and I think it is going to come any day or whatever, their proposal is going to come. Maybe. But you're telling me we can make amendments even after proposals come in, or
We can make amendments
on the
for future.
for the future. Yeah.
what does that mean?
The requirements that apply are the requirements that are in effect on the day that the developer files his land development plan.
Right.
So right now, that's the original ordinance from about a year ago. As soon as we get this next version passed, if it passes and becomes effective before a land development plan is filed, that's what will be in effect. If we contemplate further changes, they'll apply to things that are filed after the effective date. So you can't make them.
You can't amend it then. So once this proposal, after tomorrow, 8
You
o'clock
can
tomorrow
amend
morning.
it, but it all depends on when the land development plan is
Right.
filed.
So if let's just say hypothetically you guys pass this tonight, and then they give us a plan or a proposal comes in tomorrow. That is the ordinance we have. Am I
Well,
correct?
what the action now is to authorize the advertisement of it. So there's a process you have to go through before it becomes effective, and that's what we're starting on tonight. You advertise it. There are 3 opportunities to comment on it. One is here at the meeting in which it's being considered, but there's also the local planning commission and the county planning commission review.
So if a proposal, I'm sorry. to cut
This
you
has
off.
long been the law. Like
So if a proposal comes in tomorrow, we have to go back to the original.
it's not back to, it's what's in effect tomorrow. What's in effect tomorrow is the ordinance from a year ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and developers do that all the time.
How long can this proposal? Do you think that it will take to get this proposal?
There's a minimum time that's set forth in the municipality's planning code.
So
for
we're
any
pretty vulnerable
ordinance.
from right now to August.
We're only
But-
as vulnerable as we've been for the last year.
Yeah.
Even before that, we've always been vulnerable because this was not mentioned in our
Well,
ordinance at all.
we can
Frankly,
get into that. I mean,
it just these are in the news now and these are being built now.
that should have been. And one other quick question. You said, and don't take this the wrong way. You say you pick. You use the word pick sites.
Pick, select, yeah.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, the law states that for every use,
You bring up
you have to have a location for that use. So if you disagreed with convenience stores or Airbnbs, you can't just eliminate them. You have to have a place in your township. So we have a zoning map, and we already had. So the golf course was mixed use. So lots of things could go on the golf course if it was sold. So we added data center as a use there.
That was after the sale, wasn't it?
No,
No.
it just sold, didn't it?
We are
Well, that was
farther
after
ahead,
the
I think, than
proposal
any.
came in.
Yeah. I think we're farther ahead than any municipality
Okay.
because we have heard over and over again that there's been development plans on both the Stein Farm and the golf course. So when I got onto this position to be over top of code, zoning, and planning, if I remember, it would have been 24. All right, so about
Something like
24,
that.
24, yeah, 24. So at that point, it became a priority with me. And if you look at the map that's up here, do you see the 2 gray areas that say MU?
I do not have my
Okay,
glasses.
right there, MU, and then MU. Okay. Those places are what we, and I'm not saying I picked, like through all types of conversation, legal reviews, those are the 2 places in that entire map that a data center could go, which is complying with the law. If we just would have left it at the golf course. Now here's the problem we have. One person then controls all the land that could be a data center. So the conversation was basically you should have multiple places. So as much as we hear criticism, and I could easily be out there saying the same thing, we went with 2. You know what I mean? Like they said, you could have 2 or more. There's not 10 of those. If you look, we've had people come to that podium and email us that say we don't want it there, which doesn't, at least on the farm. The mixed use would have gotten it anyway. But if you look over there at the colors, where it starts with the red, CG, CL, CH, ML, MG, that's your red, your slanted red, your checkerboard red, your violet, and I don't know what that is, another pink or different.
Purple.
I can't tell. But do you see how extensive those are throughout the township? We've had people recommending that we should open up all that area to data centers because other model ordinances have said that. We're not interested in that. But where you live is that RM area, right in that area, okay? So you have, it looks like a piece of Steelton, comes relatively close, well, below you live. But then that MU would have already been there. So essentially, we put data center in the MU that was existing, and then we really only added the MU over here where we had the Stein farm. And for close to 20 years, if not longer, there had been conversations about converting that from agriculture to other uses. It's along the highway. You've been here long enough to remember when there was no Target and all those things. That was a farm with corn. So, systematically over the years, that map filled in with more of the high density uses and things like that. So, I mean, if you want to say pick, selected, we're forced to comply.
You used the word pick.
Yeah. Well, that's basically what happened.
Right.
Yeah. So again, we could be listening to other people who've come to the podium and emailed us, and we could be at a starting point and say, well, let's pick all of those red and violet areas and make those, but they're going to be much closer to more. And the word sensitive receptors wasn't there when we started this. This actually started in 2020 with emerging uses and things like that through something called Swatara Rising. So for a Swatara Rising 25. So by 25, we were going to be coming up with zoning and planning and rules for things that either needed to be changed, updated, or didn't exist in the past. And a big one of those would be, like if you think about vape stores, they're everywhere now. They weren't, so you have to, whether, if you don't like them, you can't eliminate them. Airbnbs, marijuana dispensaries. I mean, even communities that are not interested in the quote adult bookstore. If you look, when somebody comes with a plan, that's why it's out there on the edge of town on the highway.
You can do things though that you can say you can't be 500 yards from a church, and therefore Steelton or whatever. Every church there's 500. There's things you can do.
Right,
But,
and then this is what would
but,
happen
yeah.
if you can't be 500 yards
certain extent.
from any of those
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Now you've made such a weak
But nobody
ordinance
but
that
nobody
somebody will challenge it, and now
could, but nobody can. That's the difference. That's
no, and the same thing
we're getting in the weeds. It don't-
No, but we just one other point, and I think you and I had a good conversation before. We heard from lots of people that said, "Say no to data centers."
No, I get it.
And if you say no, then that puts the whole map in play because the township's been here for 227 years and didn't give them a
Listen,
yes.
I'm not. Look, I cannot stand data centers. I don't want them in my neighborhood. But okay, I'm adamantly against. I think, and as I said, I've been here since '93, and I'm thinking I might be out of here. Now I don't know because I don't know how bad it's going to be.
Yeah.
But at what point do I wait? Do I wait and then, that is bad. Now my property. No, I'm not. You might. And I'm not questioning anybody's motive. You say, well, no, it's not going to be that bad, or whatever. But you don't know. You don't know. Nobody really knows until it's here.
Sure.
So, do I wait? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. That's all I have to say.
And then where do you move? That's the next thing.
another thing.
That you move to a place. What if they don't have the protections we had? I mean, it's
you move into the city.
Yeah.
I just want to point out too, we had that map up. It's fine. the position that we've been in up until we passed the areas that where the data centers could potentially be zoned. We've talked about how much money developers have. We were in a position where, say, a developer just decided to buy up neighborhoods, came to us, submitted a plan, nothing we could do about it. So that's why we're taking the steps that we're taking to try to mitigate. Like we've already crossed that bridge. There's only 2 places now where they could potentially go. So now we're trying to put in the protections that people have asked for.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like I've said again lots of times, it's a balancing act of the law trying to do. It's not even about that. It's trying to do the best with the hand you're dealt.
Well, and you try to make it for the best, the majority.
It's not, again, it's the hand we're dealt. Like we have to do it. We don't have, the other option is do nothing and then it could be wherever.
Is make it best for the majority with the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah.
And some people suffer from it. That's politics.
And, but with the suffer is to try to mitigate impacts. Like that's the point. It's to mitigate the people that are closest to it.
You said the same thing I said, just different. I agree with you.
That's fair. I'm just taking I tend to be a glass half full perspective and, obviously I would like everyone to abide by, what they're supposed to abide by. I know that's not necessarily realistic. But we're doing all that we can to protect you as best we can. So thank you.
Useful data point is that 60 decibels is often cited as the level of sound from a normal conversation. 50 decibels is like your refrigerator noise at home in your quiet kitchen.
Thank you for that, Scott.
That's at the property line, so yeah.
Hello.
Welcome.
I'm sure you did not want to see one more person come up. So thank you for extending the time as long as you have. I really just have one question. Why is there not a decommissioning bond? Why not? To me, with this rush of data centers all over the country, and now I'm learning all over the world, kind of like feels very, I don't know. It feels like it's something that could blow in and then fizzle out. And so why no decommissioning bond?
I'll say that I can't speak to, but I take notes on who speaks. Can you tell us her name and
I'm
address?
sorry. I
That's
didn't say
okay.
that. Michelle Godfrey.
Thank you.
1231 Jill Drive. I'm in Derry Township.
I like to write down what people
Yeah.
say, so that's why
Yep.
I'm asking. But I don't know if that's a question for Zach.
So I had a very lengthy conversation with our other solicitor, Zach Rice. And Scott, could you better explain this than I can?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
I'll say what Zach said to you.
So what Zach explained to me is, solar is a prime example of why the purpose of a decommissioning bond. There's a life expectancy. You can see the product. It's the solar panels, and it could be spread out through hundreds or dozens of acres. And over 25 years, 30 years, they're kaput. They don't put off enough energy to make it worthwhile. Developers then, I'm not saying they commonly do it, but it's a higher likelihood that it would then go back to tax sale. Who's going to buy it with all those solar panels on the property? So now we look at a different use. It's basically a warehouse with computers inside. So we do not make a warehouse, which God knows what warehouses have inside them because we're not privy to that information. So we don't know what's in warehouses currently. Well, if a warehouse now just goes kaput, they leave everything in, the new property owner will purchase it based on knowing what's inside, and they'll take care of it. It's not going to be seen from the public view like a solar panel would be. So it's not the best explanation, but the purpose is it's a warehouse. It's a glorified warehouse. just like a house going up for sheriff's sale. We wouldn't require a decommissioning bond or another warehouse.
So you don't require that on other warehouses or other
No.
buildings
No.
in
Only thing that's required is for solar.
or nuclear power plants?
Well, we don't have nuclear power.
I'm just saying, like, that's the other.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Because they
It's
have the
life
massive,
expectancy.
I just, yeah.
stacks and everything else.
Okay.
We did talk about it, and I mean, I thought since we
Why-
saw it,
Why why wouldn't you? So that's a reason.
The
not
government
to-
has to treat similarly situated entities the same way.
Hmm.
So when you look at a big building and you don't know what's inside, how can you say that this building has to have a decommissioning bond, but that building doesn't?
Okay.
So unless you want to try to impose a decommissioning bond on every building that's out there that's non-residential, you don't have a rational basis to only do it to data centers, because it's not a legally defensible and rational position to say, I don't like data centers, therefore I'm going to make it expensive for you to operate, and you're going to have a decommissioning bond on your building shell, but no one else will. It's just not, and a lot of times the arguments start out, I don't like data centers, so how can I find a way to get them? And that's really not a solid governmental function.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate you asking the question because I didn't know the answer to that either. All right. We have only one other person that did not speak. Did you want to come up too, Mr. Freese? You're the only one that hasn't been up here. All right. If we have no more visitors' requests and comments, we'll go on to item 8, a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We're up to item 9, a motion to approve items on the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
You have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
A second. And for the public, we do have listed on there acceptance of notice of retirement for manager Kevin Trafka, who's worked for the township. Is it 26 years now? Almost 26 years. He is staying on until the end of October. And so we're very fortunate that he stepped up and was interested in being the manager. We had been without a manager for a little bit of time. And obviously we're sad to see him go, but we're very thankful for all of your years of service to Swatara Township. Yep.
By way of discussion, if we were to vote no, can we force you to stay, or do we have any power? No, I mean, you've been here pretty much about as long as I've been involved in different things, and I don't know what it's going to be like without you. But at the same time, I'm happy that you're going to get to the retirement. And for everybody else, I talked to Kevin. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I think we're going to have some talks about a role that he can play as consultant or so, because there are so many projects going on in the township, including the one that gets the most discussion tonight, that I don't know that we'd be able to bring anybody up to speed. We're going to need your expertise. So, and I will say that Kevin was receptive. Like, he didn't say, "I'm out of here, don't call me." So, I'd like to be able to work that out. And I know Ben, handles personnel. So maybe if you have those conversations, and there's a way or a path, but like the institutional knowledge that you have across all the entities is very important to everybody here at Swatara. So, don't disappear on us completely. But at the same time, do you and your life and your family and enjoy it. You certainly deserve it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other discussion or comments with regard to the consent agenda? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Consent agenda is approved. We're up to item 10, consideration of minutes. We have the meeting minutes from June 3rd and June 10th.
Make a motion, we accept both.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion with regard to the minutes? Excuse me. All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We're up to 11, Buildings and Codes Department, and I'll turn it over to Director Golden.
Okay, so I think we beat it to death a little bit. It was my recommendation, it's still my recommendation to push this forward to the Planning Commission and, or excuse me, to advertise. The ordinance, we have to advertise for 2 consecutive weeks. I think, as Shane said, it's better to push this forward now. I think to get protections in place. I understand and I hear everybody. We still want their comments at the Planning Commission meeting. I still want emails. Yeah, so please keep sending us comments. We'll take them seriously. Same with Tri-County. I do want to make amendment quick. It was a very good catch by the gentleman, and I see why the model ordinance is a little confusing. What I'm recommending is just going exactly with what Tri-County has. We'll have the maximum DBA daytime from 7A to 7P 60, and then maximum DBA nighttime from 7:01 p.m. to 6:59 a.m. 60, and then maximum DBC daytime 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 70, and then maximum DBC nighttime 7:01 p.m. to 6:59 a.m. of 70. So we'll just match their ordinance exact. So with that, I would recommend you authorize advertisement for a public hearing and potential adoption on August 5th.
I'll make a motion that we advertise for public hearing the subdivision and land development ordinance zoning amendment for the date of it's August 5th.
Yes.
It's our first meeting in August here.
Yep.
We have a motion. I'll second. And now, do we have any discussion with regard to advertisement?
Yeah, just I want to have the brief discussion. That was what when you covered so that was what was intended. We had something different.
Correct.
Because we were taking what we had and we were trying to match it to the model ordinance. So that was definitely an omission. It was an oversight.
Yes. Yep.
And that's why I said to you that it has to be 24 hours. There's no doubt. So, but that was a good loophole.
Very good. Yeah.
If somebody could get away with it, but it was nothing from anybody else other than us just not filling something in a block. So I appreciate that. Okay, that's all I have.
Do we have any other discussion?
Yes. So, Zach, just to be clear and get the information out, when is the zoning meeting?
The Planning Commission meeting is on July 14th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And then the public hearing, if approved, will be on August 5th, which will have plenty of testimony there, and then another opportunity to provide comments at the regular meeting as well.
Okay. Just wanted you to say that because I believe
Sure.
that's what everyone we're thinking also.
Sure.
Thank you very much on that.
Yep.
And then to piggyback off that, generally the way that it's done is it would be 7:15 p.m. on August 5th is the way that we typically do hearings. We'll start the meeting, gavel out, go into the hearing, and then go back into the regular meeting.
Military time.
Yeah. Yep. Hey. That's too much math.
Point of
That's-
inquiry,
say
Madam
that's
President.
that's too much math for me. The military time.
Can you
Okay.
guys hear me?
Yep, go for it.
Yeah, do we, this is just a point of inquiry. Do we need a motion to make those changes that Zach did for the DBC and DBA? If so, I'll make a motion to make those changes to the ordinance that we put forth last meeting.
Is that your intent with the motion?
Yeah, can we do that around it, or should I just make that part of my motion on it?
Yeah, I think, why don't you make it part of your motion?
Did you hear that, Commissioner Steele?
Yep, you'll make it part of your motion to do the
Yeah,
changes to
so-
the DBA and DBC. Yep.
Yep.
I'm a yes for that.
I think that was clear the first time, but
Yeah, no, I think
harm in
I think you're right to get that in
Yeah.
there. So my motion is to advertise for public hearing regarding the subdivision and land development ordinance. And wait a minute, do I need to pull the other one back? Does it
No,
matter, Scott?
I think your first motion was, mean,
To
I-
include that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
intended because that's what Zach.
Yes.
was
I
offering.
mean, but Commissioner Steele's right. I did just say it in public comment, not necessarily. But if you think that's,
Okay. All right.
tell me.
Let's
We
start over.
we
just-
interpreted it the
I
same way.
withdraw my motion.
Commissioner Connolly, withdraw your earlier motion.
Yes, I withdraw the motion.
Okay. Now
You have to withdraw the
you have
second.
to withdraw your second.
I withdraw my second.
Okay.
Was
let's
it? I
start
don't know who it
with your
was.
motion then.
Yeah, Shayla seconded it.
Shayla seconded.
Okay.
Withdrawn.
Okay. And now go to the.
Your
I'm going to get it right. I make a motion that we advertise for a public hearing regarding a subdivision and land development ordinance and zoning ordinance amendment for August 5th, 2026, with the addition of items that were missed in the noise ordinance that, and you say what they are, Zach.
Yes, so the residential slash sensitive receptors, it's gonna be maximum DBA daytime, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 60. Maximum DBA nighttime, 7:01 p.m. to 6:59 a.m., 60. Maximum DBCs daytime, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 70. Maximum DBCs nighttime, 7:01 p.m. to 6:59 a.m., 70.
I'll second.
Okay.
Almost forgot that part.
All right.
All right. Do we have any further discussion with regard to advertisement of the ordinance? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Appointments to boards and commissions is on the agenda every meeting. Move past that. We're on 13, visitors' requests and comments. If you have additional comments, please come forward. Again, state your name and address, and then you may begin. Is it going once? Going twice? All right. Moving on to possible stormwater violations for investigation. That's on our agenda every meeting as well. We're up to 15 commissioners' requests and comments, additional business and correspondence. Commissioner Douglas.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming out and viewing in. Everyone had very valid information to pass on. So I would tell you, I plan to be at that meeting, just to ensure that nothing gets missed. And the opportunity to speak also so that I want you to understand that I feel mutually the same. So we are going to do our best and due diligence to ensure we have a great product. But I also want to make it clear, I don't like data centers. Okay, I don't care who hears it screaming at the top of the mountain. I don't like them. So whatever we can do, to be honest with you, to make it to the point where they say we don't want to be part of Swatara Township, bye. Okay, I'm not shedding any tears over it. I'm here for the people because I'm part of the people. My family is here just like your family is here. And if I live anywhere near that area, I'm going to, in my mind, picture myself living there. So I'm going to be just as strict, and I understand. So get off the pedestal, and thank you all for coming out. Be safe, getting home. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
Yeah, we have. I'm going to put it out there. Commissioner Steele could expand on it, but obviously we have the 4th of July coming up. Swatara Township has traditionally not really had a 4th of July event. Obviously, we celebrate the holiday with this with this being America 250. We will have a series of events for America 250. July 18th will be our Family Fun Fest. More information coming out about that. Then we go to National Night Out. For September 5th, we have the Labor Day fireworks. And at all of those events, we will be promoting and displaying a lot of red, white, and blue. Our plan is to get things up and leave them up until September 11th, where we traditionally have a chicken barbecue fundraiser here for the police dogs. So we're kind of spreading it out. We're not competing with a neighboring municipality for fireworks at that time. Ours will be at the end of the summer. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. Appreciate everybody that's involved in that. I want to say with the hot temperatures, um, I'm thinking a lot about our police and firefighters that are out no matter what, whether it's hot or cold. We had two uh, really unusually major crimes back to back, unfortunately, in the township. Two days in a row, I think, if not within a stretch of days. Um, very very sad situations. So we definitely feel for the victims that were involved there, but also we have a tremendous police department that responded to those and every other incident, and does an incredible job here in the township. And hoping that with the Fourth of July, people will be happy and celebrate, and maybe things will be a little bit calmer. But realistically, the calls go up around the Fourth of July for the police services, even if it's fireworks, you know, family squabbles and disputes, and with the fireworks, the fire calls also go up. So, hopefully our guys will stay safe, try to keep cool when they can, stay hydrated. And I had written down quite a few things about the data center, but I think I covered most of it. But I just want to highlight the the last four bullet points I had, which would be easy. This would be so easy for us to do. We'd have short meetings. Everybody would love us, but we would have put this entire community at risk. Number one, and this is a suggestion that we get daily, was that we should do nothing. We should just absolutely do nothing and not have data centers, and just do nothing, take no action, which would be violating the municipal planning code, which would mean on that map you saw that data centers could go anywhere. And if that's the case, probably really no point of us being up here to even listen to your comments on that subject. The second thing I had was, to actually vote in favor of no data centers, and we get that. I mean, I get it at Turkey Hill sometimes. I get it at a ball game. Hey, can you vote no? Well, it's not really that simple. Again, we'd be violating the law. We wouldn't be putting any protections in anywhere for anybody. And then, and I don't know why this comes up. I think we had somebody mail this to us today. Could we not put them in the area that we selected, but put them in the industrial manufacturing and commercial? And I believe that comes from someone's model ordinances. That's like out there, like where they should be. And to be honest with you, that's a great idea if you have a model community and you haven't developed it yet. And you could say, this is where this will be. But I mean, Swatara Township isn't set up that way. And then, the final thing is, we get these almost daily, if not every other day, suggestions on restrictions that would basically prevent the data center from being able to build. And all four of those things, it might not be the worst idea if you could do it, but that doesn't do anything for anybody. That basically gives the developers, the data center people, the right to go anywhere in the township. So, um, I don't know what happened in the years that I wasn't here, 2 years while this plan was going on, and it was talked about when I was here, and it was certainly here when I came back. And this is the first time in this is my 11th year being a Swatara Township Commissioner, so it was 8 years, and now I'm in a 4-year term. This is the first time I had oversight over code, zoning, and planning. I was not interested in that before. Other people have had that, sometimes on a 2-year cycle, sometimes on a 4, but it was never me. And I realize how challenging it is to make decisions and try to do things that benefit your community, don't put people at risk, and I take it very seriously. And I'm doing everything I can as the committee chair, but I'm not alone. I think we have great commissioners here. The staff is incredible. Zach was not here when this conversation started. Um, he's a true professional, and he's moving it forward and doing what he can do. I think we get great legal advice, and to be honest with you, all the department heads, even if they're in public safety or other roles, manager traffic, we talk about this stuff a lot. We try to get it right. Um, I cannot talk about it with two other commissioners. That's just the way it works. So I can't, outside of here, have conversations with two other commissioners at the same time, because then I'd be violating the sunshine. So I think we all take what you give us individually. I'll answer anybody's questions, but we really don't do the public work outside of here. It's the administrative work and the legal work and things like that. And this is a big undertaking, because as important as this issue is to you, there's not any place that I go, any event, any location, any people that I'm around, that this subject does not come up. Everyone has an opinion. I generally do not give my opinion because I'm in a role that I have to make decisions. But I will say this: I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I don't try to be contentious or argue, but I'm not going to sit up here and give the impression that I'm going to take bad advice when I'm getting good advice. I'll take good advice from anybody, and I'll take opinions, but from the very beginning, and it happened with previous elected officials and people that may or may not still be involved in other boards here. We've heard that we should have opened this up to other places, or that it should be in different spots. We have a gentleman that he lives close to the area. Other people live close to the area. It was, to me, I can tell you right now, it is not politics. I'm bad at politics because I do what needs to be done. There's not one thing connected to this that has anything to do with politics or a vote or anything like that. But I don't have a problem with people that think that happens, because I do think of it with people at other levels, like how did it get to where it's at? But I'm gonna let you know there's no politics in this with me. I'm gonna try to get it right, and I appreciate everybody's input, and we really do listen to it. All the things that come in. Um, I don't know what Zach's family life is like, but I call him at different hours. He's reached out to me. This is not like an hour meeting and then we move on. So I appreciate everything that you do to help us get it right. And that's what I plan on doing. So have a great 4th of July. We'll be back here again on the 8th, and probably on the 8th, we'll make more announcements about the upcoming events. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Steele, or Vice President Steele, I'm sorry.
Commissioner, Shane just wanted me to share comments for him and to pass on. Thank you to everyone for coming out tonight, and have a safe holiday. And he will see you all next week.
Thank you. All right. I'll start by saying that I hope everyone has a safe and fun 4th of July. Obviously, if you're going to partake in fireworks, please make sure you're aware of rules and regulations with regard to that. They're legal within 150 feet of occupied structures. Am I saying that? Okay. But is that correct, the way that I said that? Sort of. Okay. I'm okay. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. I know it's 150 feet, but the part that I wasn't occupied structure, which means homes, things like that. Like, okay, you're in the street. Are you 150 feet away from homes, especially if you're doing ones that are aerial? So please keep that in mind. I do want to highlight something that was brought up with regard to calls for service, obviously increase around this time. Last month, with the police and public service report that was given to us, Superintendent Stauffer had statistics in there with regards to calls for service that continuously go up each year. But then if you look at, I believe it was, I don't remember if it was the citations and things like that, that's going down. So we're having the context with the public, but we're getting to a point where crime statistics are going down. So I just, again, want to highlight that and credit that to the connections that our police department has to the community, because that's not generally what you see like nationally, other areas, that the more times people interact with police, the more outcomes there could be for negative things, as well as citations, arrests, things like that. So I just want to highlight that again, because we are going into the season with summer months just in general, and with the 4th of July coming up, that this is going to be a time where calls for service are going up. And I also just want to say, for the people that are here, we do appreciate you coming here. I say this every time. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see new faces. Generally, like, you guys are the ones that made it to the end. Uh, we we had a cast of people that would come regularly. Some of them have fallen off. Now you guys are the regulars. I wish more people came, frankly. I enjoy the conversations and the dialogues that we have, because that's how we get feedback, other than being out in the public and emails and things like that. More of that needs to occur. So I always say this, I encourage more people to come to our meetings. And if this was your first time coming, please visit us again. With that said, I hope everyone has a good evening. Those that have to drive home, please get home safe. Thank you to everyone that takes the time to watch these meetings. And I will go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:07 p.m.